Well, good to see you up and drinking coffee, Hope. I just wondered just remind us of the circumstances of last week, whether you were under the weather or whether it was just precautions, and how the few days was for you.
Yeah, I'm fine, absolutely fine. I've been tested. I'm negative. It was a precautionary measure. So yeah, I'm fine. Last week, do you mean in terms of the game?
Just briefly, firstly, how you found having to isolate and sort of, I suppose, be out of touch, really.
Yeah, well, we're not with modern day technology. We're never out of touch. Actually, you find yourself working more now. So it's great that I'm still able to see the players, be in contact with the players, see the staff, be in contact with them on a daily basis. So apart from physically being there, I am there. So yeah, it's been fine. It's been fine.
I mean, no disrespect to Perry or anyone who was on the touchline. Do you think you not being there, not kicking the ball, heading the ball, perhaps had an effect with the disappointing result?
No, I don't. Listen, I think the standing staff are excellent, have been excellent, and continue to be excellent. I think that probably we underestimated the challenge of that week and the possible effect it had on players. I'm not making an excuse. We were poor. By our own standards, we were poor. On reflection, it was quite a challenging week. And maybe it had a little bit of a big effect on the players.
Seeing Villa thumping 9 since then, I guess that you've seen that they really are what you warned beforehand is a force, I guess. So you may put that in perspective as well.
Sorry, say that again, please.
Villa's form, didn't they hit 9 at the weekend or whatever? So they're clearly a good side. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you could really underestimate any team at this moment in time in this league, especially the teams that are around us. And sometimes when you're expected to win, that in itself applies a little bit more pressure. But the week we had and the lack of preparation time did not help us. Apart from credit to Aston Villa, they did enough to win the game, and we clearly didn't. But this week, the preparation will definitely be better than it was last week, and it will give us a better chance of performing well.
And it was just a taste of the reality of the situation you're living in, I guess.
Yeah, and not just us. You look at what happened to Bristol. I mean, they were really unfortunate and had to pull up academy players, which for them was a big ask. And given the current climate we live in, this may well happen again. So we have to be sure that we are diligent with the protocols that the club have in place.
West Ham at the weekend. I mean, slow start, isn't it? Just one win in 6 of them, and below you, I guess. Again, we say it every week, but an important game to bounce back.
Yeah, another important game. We know it's going to be another tough challenge. Historical matches have always proved quite close, very physical. They're despite where they sit in the table, they're still a very, very good team. So we have to prepare accordingly.
Hope I won't obviously go over things that Tim's just asked, but I want to ask you about the Girls' Academy and how you feel about that being forced to shut down this lockdown when the Boys' Academy can continue. I know that the Albion have really pushed and are trying to reopen that academy, the dual career academy. How do you feel about that Albion are at the forefront of this? And, how do you feel generally that those girls' academies have been forced to shut, whereas the boys can continue?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think Brighton have been brilliant. I think we've been really diligent with the protocols and trying to put all the correct things in place to protect both players and staff. We're in a really good position, as the statement says. We probably can fulfil the protocol that is needed to open. Yes, I would say it is very disappointing to know that, from my perspective, and this is just my opinion, that we are not considered, part of the elite program, if you like. But the expectation is that if you've got players, certainly to draw on, that they would come from your academy. So for example, on Sunday, we've had so many injuries with players. We've had a suspension. We had to pull a couple of players up from the academy. The expectation to be able to do that, but yet say that they can't train because they're not elite is, I was a little bit confused by that. But hopefully the dialogue is open. The FA, I know, are speaking to the clubs, and hopefully we'll see it resolved, and maybe we will see the academy, be allowed to train and do the things that they want to do. And I know that's in discussion, so I'm hoping that they will reverse that decision.
And we've seen, top players like Maya Letizier coming through that pathway. How important is it that pathway is sustained, keeps going for those players like Maya to come through to you?
Yeah, I think as Brighton as a club, it's essential. I mean, I'm very much into homegrown talent and developing young talent. So for us, that pathway is key. We regularly have academy players training with the first team. I'm very much about an open door policy. And for them, it is really something that they can see ahead of and strive towards. So to then say that they're not elite and that they're not training, I think is a little bit disappointing. But as I said, hopefully some dialogue's going on and maybe that decision will be changed.
Looking ahead to this Sunday, obviously a disappointing result last weekend. The good performances, I'm looking at the Man City draw, the Everton draw, those two really good performances against very tough sides. So, how do you take that sort of performance that we have seen from this squad this season into the West Ham performance this weekend?
Yeah, I think, the Villa game, as I said, really unusual circumstances without using that as an excuse. But the build up to that game and the circumstances beforehand, I don't think we can underestimate, although just on the day we weren't good enough for whatever the reasons were. Yes, I agree when you're perhaps expected to lose, that you play with that more freedom and fun, if you like, and it allows you to relax in the games. And the teams that are around you and you're expected, I guess, and I said it to the girls before, or certainly I said it after, that you're expected to win, it sometimes can apply more pressure. We are striving to be, certainly elite, to be one of the best teams. That's what we're striving for. So as players, they've got to start to manage those expectations. It's part of their development. So while we didn't want to lose on Sunday, there were a lot of lessons learnt, and hopefully those lessons can be, put to use, if you like, in the game on Sunday. We definitely need to perform, certainly, with those teams in and around us. We have to try and ensure that when there is more pressure on to perform. And that's a learning curve. That's something the players have to adapt to and learn.
Now, I'm imagining that Katie will probably want to talk to you about Greg Clark. So just one final question from me. I won't go over the same grounds, but just looking at the pictures online, I noticed that number 16 was out on the training pitch this week. Nice to see Ellie Brazil out there getting stuck in on the training pitch. How's she getting on? Is she likely to feature this weekend?
In all honesty, no, she won't feature. She's been tested and has just hit those markers. But psychologically, it's a big ask as well. So we're looking in a couple of weeks that she can hopefully be back in a friendly that we've got organised, an international break, and then we'll go from there. But great to see her back. We need her. We've been plagued with a few injuries, so we just have to ensure that she's comfortable and is able to contribute to the team. But yeah, great to see her back.
I just wanted to pick up on something Juliet said about the academies. How did you feel about the FA's decision to shut them all down? Because judging by the statement that was released, it seemed like Brighton would have been in a position to meet the elite protocols anyway. So do you think that was premature from the FA?
I think the good thing is that they've had a look at it and recognised that actually you perhaps shouldn't put all the academies in the same boat. obviously we've got really good protocols in place. I appreciate that probably not many, well, I'm not saying that, but maybe some clubs can't fulfill those protocols. And for them, the right decision might be to shut down, because they wouldn't want to put any of the players at risk. The fact that we have the protocols in place, I think they're looking at it. They recognise perhaps that we have those protocols, and we will be in a better place to perhaps allow our players to train. So I think you have to give them credit for going, hang on a minute, we have to look at this again, which hopefully for us will be a good thing, and maybe our academy will open up again to allow the players to train.
And how much of a boost would that be if, say come next week, you are given the green light to reopen the academy and get those girls back in, who have obviously been forced to kind of watch on at the moment whilst the boys can carry on training? Yeah,
I mean, the girls were disappointed. They want to play. I think a psychological boost and their well-being for them is a great thing. And certainly, as I said, the fact that quite often I invite the academy players to train with the first team, the fact that they know that they can do that or have the opportunity to do that for them is a good thing. So I know as a group, they'll be really happy if they were allowed to come back and train.
We've heard today that Greg Clark has stood down from his position at FIFA now, as well as the FA. I just wondered, given your standing in the game, your experience, your background, what did you make of it when you heard those comments from Greg Clark to the Parliamentary Committee? And do you think the next FA chair needs to be a diverse appointment?
Well, obviously, I'm a black woman, so as a black woman, it was very, very disappointing. And for me, he did the right thing, and he stepped down. And I think, everything that's gone on around the diversity code and all the efforts that the FA have made in passing that code, it was, I must admit, I was disappointed. In terms of the next appointment, I think, we want the appointment to be open, transparent, fair, male, female, black, white. We want the same opportunity to be afforded everybody, and not just a closed shop. So for me, it's about the process being open, transparent and fair. And then hopefully you get the best candidate.
Baroness Sue Campbell is believed to be interested. Is she someone that would have your support?
As I said again, if it's an open, fair, transparent process that gives everybody the opportunity who has that quality, then that's my standpoint. Whether that person's black, white, female or male, it's about the process being open and fair, and it isn't a closed shop.
And if I could just finally ask you a question about the game. West Ham obviously won their first WSL game of the season recently. Does that make them more dangerous, do you think, going into this?
I think win or lose, the competition in WSL is quite tough. We lost at the weekend, but we're probably more fired up. They win at the weekend, it gives them some confidence. So I think whether you've won or lost, sometimes it depends how you approach it, what your preparation's like, having players that are fit and healthy. All those factors have a bearing on the game on Sunday. So, the fact that we've lost fires us up. The fact that they've won probably fires them up as well. So I think all in all, it probably makes for a really entertaining game.